Okay, welcome everyone. It's Wednesday. It is Yom HaZikaron. I tried very hard to find a nice connection to the Rashis for Yom HaZikaron to set the tone for the day and was unsuccessful. So we will just study a Rashi, but we'll dedicate our words today and the Torah that we studied today to memory of those nearly 24,000 soldiers of the IDF who have fallen to establish and later to protect and to uphold the amazing, wonderful, miraculous state of Israel that we have. As I mentioned this morning at Minyan, during this week, as we start to anticipate and get excited for Yom HaAtzmaut, I always think of Natan Alterman's poem, Lo Magasha Kesef, Lo Magasha Kesef Nitzna Medina, the state that we celebrate tonight and tomorrow was not given to us on a silver platter. It was given to us through tremendous, tremendous, tremendous sacrifice over the course of the years, not only the soldiers, but victims of terror and others who have suffered. And the day and the impact of the day of Yom HaZikaron, it's very difficult to feel at Chutz La'aretz. You go to Israel, you walk around the streets, and you realize very, very quickly that although 24,000 is a huge number, it's a small number compared to the population, but it is a number that affects every single solitary person there. It affects them once, twice, and sometimes, unfortunately, three times over. In first degree connections and second degree connections, the level of grief and the level of sacrifice is something that's hard for any of us to imagine. Even those of us who have been to Israel, perhaps lived in Israel, something that hopefully will only go in better directions. And we continue to remember those soldiers who have fallen and all those victims of terror who have given their life and the terrible cost of the state of Israel, and hope that it continues to flourish and that we should be makadesh all of their memories. We should sanctify all of their memories by continuing to grow and continuing to support the amazing state of Israel. And words of Torah are dedicated to their memory today. We'll study a Rashi. I just wanted to mention this Rashi because it continues the theme that we saw yesterday. We saw yesterday that Chazal believe that that saras is an affliction brought about because of lashon hara, and because it's brought about because of lashon hara, mida keneged mida, as a commensurate punishment for lashon hara, which separates people from each other and causes discord amongst human beings. The punishment of the Metzora is that they have to be badad yeshev michutz lamachaneh. They have to sit alone outside the camp. They have to feel that level of isolation. They have to feel that level of distance, which they caused other people to suffer and to endure. I want to show you today another couple of Rashis which continue this theme. Going into the next Aliyah, which is our Aliyah today, the fourth Aliyah of the combined Parshios of Tazria Metzora, right from the beginning of Parshas Metzora, describes the korbanos that are brought by the Metzora as part of the process of purification. And the sacrifice that's brought is shtei tziporim. It is two birds, with a lot of fascinating symbolism and a lot of analysis necessary in terms of the birds and the process of becoming tahor. But Rashi right away quotes Chazal in commenting on why birds are the appropriate sacrifice to be brought for the purification process of the Metzora. Chayos tahoros, prat la'of tameh, lefi shanegayim bayin alashon hara, shu maseh patit, pitputei dvarim, lefikach huzkaku letziporim letarato. Not only animals are not brought as the sacrifice for the Metzora, but specifically birds, because the sin of the Metzora was engaging in lashon hara, which is the opening and closing of the mouth, pitputei devarim, speaking, and therefore we required tziporim l'tarato. We required birds for the purification process. Why? Because tziporim shemitpatpatin tamid b'tzivtzuch kol. Because what birds are known for, their salient feature is their is their chattering, is their the sounds that they make from their beak, is the constant the moving of their mouth is what we notice about them, perhaps most of all. And therefore, in our mind, when a Metzora brings tziporim, brings birds, they will continue to recall and to reinforce the idea that their whole process they're going through is because of their moving of the mouth, just like these birds move their mouth. Not only that, but part of the process is using an eitz erez, a hyssop branch, and dipping it into blood and water and dipping the bird. And why is the hyssop branch used? Rashi continues this theme. Because these afflictions of tsaras are brought about for lashon hara, and lashon hara really at its core is about gasus haruach. It's about haughtiness, fascinating insight into the nature of a human being. The reason a person speaks lashon hara is because they feel themselves to be bigger or more important or superior in some way to the person they're speaking about. It's an effort in some way, not only to separate and create discord between people and ruin a person's life, but to assert power over somebody else. That's gasus haruach. That's a haughtiness, a haughty type of behavior. And therefore, not only do we bring birds, which reminds the Metzora that their original fault, which they're atoning for right now and doing tshuva for, was pitput devarim, moving their mouth, but also that it had an element of gasus haruach, which is countered by the eitz eres, the hyssop branch that's used. Ma takanaso v'yisrape. Why is the hyssop branch part of the takana, part of the refuah for the problem that existed of gasus haruach? Because it's supposed to remind the person, yashpil atzmo migiuso ketolas ve'ezov, that they are supposed to lower themselves like the lowliness of this hyssop branch and the worm that's used as well in the process. And therefore, the lowliness of the branch will sort of bring them down and be part of that tahara, part of that tshuva process. So again, two more symbolic aspects to how the Torah relates the Metzora back to the idea of lashon hara. Number one, that they should be reminded of their pitput devarim, and number two, that they should be lowered to a level of humility, atoning for the two aspects of the mistake that they made. Thank you all. Have a wonderful day, despite the sadness of the day, and should lead to a wonderful Yom HaAtzmaut tonight and tomorrow. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Rabbi.
Thank you,
Thank
Rabbi.
you, Rabbi.
Thanks,
Much.
everyone.
See you.
Take care.